Good morning and welcome to tutorial 6, which is the penultimate tutorial in this Business Leadership 1 Personal Development in the Workplace course. We do have the Q&A is activated, so if any of you have questions that you would like to submit by typing them in, you're welcome to do that. I'm going to just press right on because I have started this a little bit late. And the purpose of this tutorial is to take you through a very interesting and important part of the program on the subject of leadership, and specifically here the issue of leadership styles. So I'm going to jump to that in a moment, but just to say that by way of background to this tutorial, you should have already connected with a website called www.16personalities.com and taken a test online. It's a free online test that would have helped you to identify which of 4 basic personality types or temperament types is yours. When you have done that, you will have identified a very specific issue of whether your style is more extroverted or introverted, whether you are more of a person who operates from intuition or from your senses, whether you are a thinker or a person who deals in discernment. So this will make a lot more sense to you if you will have already done that little program. And so I'm going to be doing this on the basis of sharing the screen. And so I'll be looking at that in the next little while. So the issue of leadership has to do with somewhat with your style or your personality, and that in turn has to do with how you deal with people. So just there is a lot of the leadership studies are done around 4 basic styles, and so you have a leadership study called DISC, which talks about 4 styles. You have the Wilson learning model, which talks about these 4 styles as well. So I'm going to take you through that and then come back to a comparison with the Wilson, with Myers-Briggs. So the question goes like this: if you were in a leadership context in your workplace and leading, whether it's a small department or leading a company, ask yourself this question: when I feel something strongly in the workplace, do I tend to emote or do I tend to withhold my emotions? Do I let people know how I'm feeling, or is that something that I keep very much more to myself? The second question is, when I want people to do something, do I tend to ask them or do I tend to tell? Is there more of a directive element to my leadership, or is it more cooperative and alongside? So here, just as an example, I've put a sample in there where someone has said that they tend really on the scale to 6 out of 10 they would tell, and about 9 out of 10 they would let feelings be known. So they would end up in this bottom right hand quadrant. I want you to draw that little window and ask yourself whether you are in the same category or not. Which category are you in? Which quadrant of this window are you in? what are the four quadrants? This bottom right-hand side shows us that this person is something of a visionary leader, a person who looks long-term and who's excited about the future, a person who is expressive, who shows their emotions easily. They are very much the kind of person who wakes up the group and is the entertainer and life and soul of the party. They are the kind of person who operates extemporaneously, so they're more prophetic in terms of their style of sharing, off the cuff. And of course, they are very much a person who gives away what they feel to others. Their concern, their big question is what's happening? What's up? What should we be doing together? The second kind of person, if you ended up in the top right-hand quadrant, you're a person who withholds your feelings and you tend to tell people what to do, is the autocratic leader. The person who is what Wilson Learning calls a driver, a person who makes things happen, who is a catalyst, who gets things started, and very much operates on the basis of stepping to the front as the leader. For them, achievement is the most important thing. And so for them, the question is not what, but by when are you going to deliver? Then we have the third quadrant, the person who asks people to cooperate and withholds their feelings, is what we call the empowerer, the empowering leader. This is the analyst, the person who organizes, sets up systems, an administrative kind of specialist, and a person for whom information is most important and therefore teaches their way through their leadership style. They are also very often, as I said, administrators. The kind of person who asks and emotes is the, I'm sorry, before we move on, this is the how person, the person who tends to ask the question, how can we do this? The person who asks and shows their feelings is the Democrat. This is the people person, the amiable, as Wilson Learning called them, the maintainer of everybody in the crowd, the encourager, the alongside kind of person, and the person who shows a lot of mercy. They are the people who ask the question, who? So in every system of leadership, you will probably have a mix of these four kinds. And what is important for you is that you find out which of those you are, because most often people burn out because they try to operate outside of their comfort zone. So find out what your comfort zone is and operate in that. Myers-Briggs is the organization that put together the questionnaire that I've asked you to do for yourselves. And what they study in their measurement instrument is 4 different kinds of aspect of operation. The first is, what is your preferred context? The second is, how do you gather data? The third is, how do you make decisions? And fourthly, your overall style of doing business. There are 4 kinds. There is the extrovert and the introvert when it comes to your preferred context. The person who lets it all out and the person who keeps very much to themselves. Second of all, there is the person who gathers data by their senses, by what they see, feel, taste, touch, and hear, or person who reads between the lines and behind those senses to intuition. Thirdly, how do you make decisions? Do you make decisions based on thinking it all out beforehand, or on your gut feel, on what's going on here and now inside you? And fourthly, how do you do business? Are you making decisions and operating basically on the basis of what you see in front of you? Are you a perceiver, or are you a person who judges and therefore is able to discern something also, once again, beyond what's going on? When you have done that, you will have arrived at a combination of these 4 letters. You may be, for example, an ENFJ. You may be an ISTP. in other words, you'll take one letter from each of these 4 levels, and you will end up with your own self-analysis, which will come from doing that test. Then we come to 4 temperaments that will come out of that. The second letter of the 4 is the most important, the S or the F. If it is an S, then the next most important is the last one, the J or the P. Are you a person who judges or a person who perceives? If it is an N, if your second letter is an N, then the next most important is thinking or feeling, T or F. So the clusters that you will look for, capital letters that you will look for in your own self-analysis are these. Is it an S? Are you a combination of SJ, SP, NT, or NF? Once you have looked at that, you will start to get to a kind of temperament analysis. An SJ is what we call a realistic achiever. A person who operates very much on the facts in front of you, and then who judges and makes judgment calls very easily. The SP is the person who is more important with how they themselves and others in the room are feeling. They are the sensual entertainer. The NT is the person who operates by intuition and thinking. So they are a thinking organizer. The NF is the person who operates by their, again, intuition, but their feelings are more important than their thinking. And so this is the person we could call a sensitive shepherd in the workplace. So here is what they mean. The SJ, if you're one of those, you would probably be an innovative, action-orientated, but stable person. These are people who are known for being orderly and dependable, with some tendency to perfectionism or performance orientation. They are results orientated, and they judge themselves and others according to the results. The SP, on the other hand, is a flexible, playful, and insightful person. They're open to constant change and innovation. They're future-oriented dreamers. They're entertaining, spontaneous, and will respond to crises with warmth and humor. Their orientation is toward experience, but they are probably the least organized people in the outfit. Then the NT. The NT is motivated to understand, and through understanding, to control his or her environment. He or she responds to ideas and information and will bring security to groups by bringing conceptual clarity. They explain things. They look for how, and they help people with understanding that. They can often be dry and insensitive to the feelings of others. The NF, on the other hand, intuitive feeling person, is warm and engaging with a focus on the harmony in the system. They are the peacemakers. They want everybody to operate together. They look for unity. They're usually articulate and see the issue behind the issue. They can tend to a weakness of wanting peace at any price. So they will often sacrifice principle for peace. They're also, if they're introverted, they will tend to be mystical. And if they're extroverts, they will tend to be caring, loving, pastor, caregiver, counselor kind of people. So I want to present those 4 now as we draw this part to a close, and think about them also from the point of view of the 4 gospel writers, just by way of a little bit of fun. So here is the SJ. The SJ, you will see, corresponds to that driver, that kind of leader person that we spoke about earlier. The SP is the one who corresponds to John the evangelist. They are the idealists. For them, when it comes to their interaction, their spirituality, their interaction with God, it would all be around their experience of worship, and their sensory with regard to that, as well as other relationships in their lives. Then we come to Matthew, where I started erroneously a moment ago. This is the activist. This is the person for whom they keep a constant sense of breakthrough, of wonders, of miracles. They're systematic, but their whole idea is results. The NT corresponds to Luke, the third evangelist, who is the rationalist, who thinks through everything, who gives details, very detail orientated. For them, the worship, the wonders are not as kind of preeminent or prominent as the word. Give me the chapter and verse for things is going to be a thing you'll often hear from them. And they are the student in the outfit. When it comes to the NF, the Gospel of Mark is a very pertinent gospel for this kind of person. They are loyalists. For them, again, it's what works. It's what produces the kinds of results and well-being and harmony that is important. And they're very often the servant-orientated leaders. So, interesting to talk about this in comparison to the four faces around the throne of God. There was the eagle, there was the lion, there was the man, and there was the ox. And each of them corresponds, in my view, to these four kinds of leader who, in that sense, are responsible to carry God's presence to others. So, I'm going to come back now to the thoughts about how this all fits together with regard to your. I'm sorry. Let me get back to the camera. Turn camera on. There we are. Goodness, I don't know why this can't be seen right now. Okay. Okay. So I want to and put some of your thoughts about it on the forum. I just realized that the microphone has been muted for the past 5 minutes, so I'm just going to re-say in closing what I was saying earlier. I hope that you've been able to stay the distance through a silent movie. But just really to say that what you have to do over the next month is, first of all, to go back and look at assignment 2, which was about doing your PDP, starting that, and you can add to that up until the 15th of October. So I want you to please make sure that you do that, and you can still earn up to 20% of your mark by completing that PDP between now and the 15th of October. The other 40% of the mark, which goes together with all of that, is to make sure that you complete assignment number 6, which is the assignment, the final reflection assignment on the overall topic. That will go on to Funda on the assignments page today. And so what I will ask you to do is to write that assignment and have it in to me by the 21st of October. And so you need to get going on that right away. I am going to put on the resources page a case study, an example of the kind of thing that I want you to be reflecting on. So that will help you just to get a little bit of basic orientation with regard to the final assignment. With regard to this tutorial and this unit, what you will need to do is go to www.16personalities.com to the test and take the test online. They will very quickly return to you your results, which will tell you which of the 4 quadrants you are in the presentation that I just did a moment ago, the PowerPoint presentation. I will also put that PowerPoint presentation on resources. So that brings us to the end of this tutorial. You can respond to me on anything that you're unclear about, and we can do a Q&A on the forum about this. And I look forward to seeing some of your comments and reflections on whether the test has identified your style accurately. Thanks and bye.